Hey everyone, my name is SeanArnold and welcome to the first episode of DUELYST on my channel. For the next couple of days or so, I'm going to be playing against my good buddy MaskedMandarin, who is also known as the General Frog. He's the one that introduced this game to me and I absolutely love it. In case you want to see a little bit more of an overview or an impressions of this video, check out the Hey Have You Heard video that I did for DUELYST recently a couple of days ago on my channel. But over the next couple of days I want to show off more gameplay focus and kind of describe what's going on in terms of strategy with this game. So in this game you start with 5 cards in your hand and then 2 mana, and if you're going first, you have the advantage of being able to summon or to call a minion first. And I'm going to call Piercing Mantis, which is a 2-costed mana card with a special ability called Frenzy. I'll tell you a bit more about what Frenzy does when the time comes to use it. Then on the battlefield, what you can see are 3 mana crystals. These mana crystals give you +1 mana for the turn, which is really good to use. And so my idea here is to put down Piercing Mantis so that hopefully, given the opportunity, he'll be able to capture one of these mana crystals in the next turn, giving myself a little bit of an advantage there. But we'll see if MaskedMandarin allows me. Now I'm playing a Lyonar deck, but MaskedMandarin is playing an Abyssian deck. And Abyssian decks are all about summoning lots and lots of weak monsters called Wraithlings. And this is one of their best spell cards. This is called Wraithling Swarm. Wraithling Swarm is a 2-costing card, or is it a 3-cost? I think it's a 3-costing card that summons 3 little Wraithlings on the field. Now Wraithlings, the idea behind Wraithlings is you can play them in multiple ways. You can play a Shadow Creep version of the deck, which I'll talk about later on. Or you can basically play it so that you use your little weak Wraithlings to expend most of your opponent's resources, and that way, because you're using things which you had for free, therefore you'll be able to kind of take advantage of your opponent and get a lead. Fortunately, I have a card with Frenzy, and what Frenzy allows me to do is allows me my monster to attack multiple monsters that are nearby at a single time. So Piercing Mantis got to destroy 3 of those Wraithlings at the same time. And also in this game, when you do attack when one unit attacks another unit, they do damage to each other. But with Frenzy, I only take damage from a single unit because only that one unit can attack and counter attack at the same time. Now at the bottom of the screen there, I've just summoned Silverguard Knight. Silverguard Knight is a big beat stick. It's a nice little 3-drop monster which has a special effect called Provoke. Provoke forces any nearby enemy minions to attack it before it can attack anything else, and also they can't move whilst they are being provoked. So it's essentially a tank. It's something you'll get in, say, like an MMO and RPG, where a tank will get the enemies to focus attention on them. And having a tank is really useful because it allows me to kind of get rid of multiple resources at once, because he's such a beefy monster. He's got a high amount of health and a decent amount of attack for his mana cost. So I'm able to get rid of not just 1 but 2 of my opponent's monsters this turn. And but fortunately for MaskedMandarin, he summoned a minion with Death Watch. Now Death Watch is a special ability which can have a variety of effects, but basically triggers when a minion is killed. It doesn't have to be just their minion, it could be one of my minions too, but when a minion is killed, they get their ability gets triggered. And for Shadow Watcher, that minion with the blue flames over his head, his special effect is that anytime a minion dies, he gets +1 health and +1 attack. And so as long as he's on the field, he's just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger every time something dies. So I've got to be careful about that. I've really got to kind of play around it and get rid of him as soon as I can. Particularly without losing something on the field at the same time. So I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do here first. There's a variety of things which I could do here, but I'm going to play a spell card now. And this spell card is called Martyrdom. Martyrdom allows me to destroy any monster on the field, but then the general whose monster it was gains health back to that monster's health. So my opponent did get a little bit of health back there, but it didn't really matter because he still pretty much had full health. Now I must apologize at this time of the video. This video is recorded with no actual gameplay sound recorded. I had some problems with recording the gameplay sound, and that it will be fixed in the next couple of days or so with the next upcoming videos that I'm going to be doing. But right now it's just myself doing voice commentary with the OST back in the background. However, I do think the OST for this game is absolutely fantastic. The theme you're hearing right now is the Lyonar theme, and really gives that sense of being like a grand royal army, which is kind of what they are. So at this point, in the last turn, my opponent used a card which turned my my Sentinel into a Wraithlin, and that's really annoying. It's a high costing card for 5 mana, but to be able to turn into any monster into a much weaker monster is really effective. It's basically removal, plus you get something in return for it, if you can make use of it. But now I'm going to summon something pretty big to the field. I'm going to summon Bright Moss Golem. Bright Moss Golem has 4 attack and 9 health, making him pretty hard to get rid of at this point, especially for someone like MaskedMandarin, because his Abyssians are very weak, and he would have to use a lot of monsters in order to destroy that one and get rid of his health. So I'm putting that there on the field as a bit of a threat there. However, he might not even have to, because Abyssians have really good spells as well, which can get rid of monsters like Bright Moss Golem quite easily. Those are the kind of things you're going to have to learn about. You're going to have to learn what each clan has. You have neutral cards and you have clan cards, and for myself, all the spells that you see in my hand are all clan cards, but all the units that I have, all the minions, are neutral cards. They're actually not a part of the line of clan, and thus it's actually really quite I'm losing train of my words. When you're playing against other opponents, you really got to know what their clan can do, as well as be aware of what neutral cards they might have. Now, what my opponent is doing is technically a form of tempo removal or tempo control, and they used a monster called Repulsor Beast. Repulsor Beast allowed my opponent to move my minion to anywhere on the field, and that's really good in this game. One thing you won't find in this game is finding really free or easy ways to remove monsters without doing attacks. You know, there's not like a spell card that you could just say, hey, I'm going to destroy this, without it being restricted to a particular clan. But monsters like Repulsor Beast also kind of work in a similar way, where they can move your opponent's monster across the field, and in some situations, depending on how the field is set up, that could be just as good as removal, because now my monster has to walk all the way back to the other side of the field if it wants to do any damage to my opponent's general, or even fight their monsters. So he could just chill out in the corner there for a little while. So to respond in this turn, I'm going to play a monster called Healing Mystic. Healing Mystic gets 2 health to a monster when he is summoned, because it has what's called an opening gambit. And I'm going to try and see what I can do to get rid of some of my opponent's units this turn. I'm probably going to attack that Repulsor Beast. Repulsor Beast has done its job, it's really good. But now I'm going to get rid of the field because it leaves a body. And that's one thing with this game you've got to be aware of. I was discussing with Frog actually last night about the idea of having spells versus a monster effect. And in this game, I think monster effects are typically preferable to a spell card, just because when you play a spell card, you lose that spell card upon use, whereas a monster gives you a monster at least, no matter how weak the effect is. Now, my opponent has just played Shadow Nova. Shadow Nova is one of the best Abyssian spells in the game. It is really good. It summons a 2x2 area of Shadow Creeps, and Shadow Creeps are those spikes you see on the floor. Little pink ones there if you can make them out. Now, a Shadow Creep does damage to enemies at the end of every single turn for the number of Shadow Creeps on the field. So there are 5 in total. So as long as my general or any of my monsters sit on top of those, it is going to do 5 damage. I've got to be really careful about that. Abyssian decks like to control the area with things like Shadow Creep and make it harder for you to attack themselves. And he's just happy to chill in the corner. As long as he can keep on bringing more Shadow Creeps, I might be in trouble. So I've got to be careful. Summon up another Bright Moss Golem, which in the next turn should be pretty aggressive, and getting my other monsters a little bit closer to my opponent now. And now I'm going to play an effect called... Well, no, I'm not going to play it now. I could have played a spell to buff my monsters, but the thing with this game is, because you can't attack the turn you are called to the field, buffing a monster too early can be a bit of a risk, because you might lose that card if that monster is destroyed somehow. It makes your monsters a big target for saying, hey, get rid of me before the next turn. Whereas if you don't, then you might be able to use it more effectively. So he's just summoned another monster on the field, and that monster has a effect called Abyssal Crawler, has an effect called Dying Wish. Dying Wish basically activates when the monster dies, and basically when that monster dies, it turns that square into a shadow creep. So more shadow creeps on the field, which will be really annoying. And he's just used Demonic Lure to throw another one of my Bright Musk Golems into the corner, which is again really good spacing control. This game is really a lot like chess as well as a card game. It's very methodical in terms of positioning on the field. In addition, he also summoned another monster to the right. It's that white wing monster. That white wing monster with 3 attack and 3 health has a special effect where anytime it moves, it buffs up enemy minions. It buffs up minions of the same team around it by +1/+1. So I decided to get rid of his weak minions so that it won't receive the buff in the next turn. But now look at myself, I've got to be careful. I've got to basically run around all these shadow creep tiles, and because there's 6 of them on the field, that's going to be really annoying to deal with. So now I'm having to walk all the way around, more field control, more area control, unless I want my monsters to take some damage, and I really don't want them to lose any health, unless there's a really big benefit for doing so. At the end of my turn there, I use what's called a Bloodborne spell. Every general has a spell assigned to them which they can just use whenever they want. Mine is called Roar for my Lyonar general. And Lyonar general gives any monster that's nearby my general +2 attack. Really good Bloodborne spell. Whereas my opponent's is a little bit different. Now something just crazy just happened here. My opponent summoned Mind Warper. Mind Warper gains a copy of a random spell from my hand and adds it to their hand. So it's a really nice +1 there for my opponent, and he managed to get, it's a spell called Tempest. And Tempest is a spell basically which does 2 damage to everything on the field. It's a bit like an AoE, it's a bit like a mass removal, but it's really weak mass removal. But against something like Abyssians, it can be very good because a lot of their monsters are naturally just quite weak. So what am I going to do this turn? I'm going to keep on advancing, keep on making my way towards my opponent, and try to see if I can get some attacks in against their monsters, but it's not going to be easy to do so. So what I'm going to do first is play Tempest again, get rid of his 2 monsters, and now I'm going to go a little bit closer to my general, and I'm going to have to move around this one a little bit as well. I really don't want him to go to the spikes, but so I'm not going to move from there, but I will move the tiger. I summon the tiger to the field, and the tiger will be able to do some damage this turn because it has a special effect called Rush. Rush is a really awesome effect. Not many creatures have Rush. Saber Spine Tiger is one of the first minions you get available to you at the start of the game that has Rush, and he makes him really good because he can just attack the turn that he is summoned. Very useful to have, especially if you just want to get rid of something ASAP and you don't want to wait a couple of turns or wait for things to be set up. Then Rush is a really useful ability, especially when the monster gets stronger and stronger. Having Rush just can become really deadly. Okay, let's see what MaskedMandarin is going to do this turn. He's going to move himself onto the spikes. He's just going to keep on camping around those spikes because he knows he can. And now he's going to use his Bloodborne spell. His Bloodborne spell does 1 damage, and if that creature died when it took the 1 damage, it will turn into a shadow creep. It's a good spell for getting rid of very weak monsters. Really, you want the shadow creep more than the actual damage, but I guess he's just using it because he doesn't have anything in his hand. And really, that's the aim of this game for myself. It's about managing my resources quite well in terms of card advantage, mana advantage, and field presence. Because what I really want to do is just get rid of most of his resources in so that I can just slowly make my approach and kind of get kill him in a nice big sweep. Might be able to do that, might not be able to, but we'll see. But he does only have 2 out of 6 cards in his hand, which means he doesn't have too many options available to him. Let's see what he does. He uses Wraithlin Swarm, which will give him 3 Wraithlins on the field. Now, Wraithlins, they're not doing much in this game here, but they can be really troublesome. They can be buffed. There's a lot of mass buffing spells in Abyssians. Effects which give, say, like +2 to all of them, or turns one of them into a monster with +5 attack. And they can get really strong quite quickly, but it really depends on your ratios and whether you draw the right cards. So I'm gonna be. It is a little bit of a combo deck, but it can be very effective. I do run an Abyssian deck myself because of my daily quests. When you have daily quests, sometimes it will say, "Hey, go play 4 online games with an Abyssian deck," and I'll be like, "Oh, damn! I've never really used Abyssian." So I try to keep a basic deck version of every single clan out there, and that way I can get some more gold and therefore do more crafting later on. Okay, so again, we are just playing musical chairs, trying to get around and around to my opponent's general, trying to do whatever damage I can. I'm going to use another Tempest to get rid of those Wraithlings, and I'm just going to move my Bright Moss Golem closer. Now I'm finally going to be able to do some damage with it, and now I'm going to summon Silver Guard Knight. Silver Guard Knight is going to use Provoke on my opponent's general, and that way they can't keep running around. And now I'm going to try and keep them cornered. I'm going to try and back them off into this corner. But I'm still going to be careful of the spikes, because those spikes will really kill me. Actually, this is something which I find about myself in this game, is that I find myself, whilst I'm trying to maintain my hand and card advantage and field presence, I do tend to take a lot of damage in the process. Like Tempest does 2 damage to my general each time. So my general is on 8 damage, whilst Masked is on 11. Although, which isn't too bad because they've only got 1 more card left in their hand, so unless they summon something crazy, it should be okay. Although one version of I forgot the Shadow Creep spell, their big spell where they can summon 4 Shadow Creeps. If they did that to my general this turn, I would die instantly. But I think it's not going to happen necessarily. I think we might have game here. Depends on really how I play. We've got Lycian Brawler there going to my opponent. I might be able to do enough damage to kill this turn. In fact, I should be able to kill this turn. So let's see. I'm going to first attack my opponent's general with Lycian Brawler. I'm trying to decide who to buff up. Realistically speaking, now that I'm looking back over this video, well, actually that swap was good. Actually, I didn't really need to swap that card. That card could have done damage to my opponent. Well, I think it can at least. And then Lycian Brawler now is going to attack my opponent, and that's going to do 4 damage, leaving them with 7 damage left. And then I should use Divine Bond on my Sentinel. That will give it 6 attack in total, and now that should be able to do a little bit more damage. Oh, I didn't attack my opponent this turn. I must have been feeling generous. I couldn't kill him this turn, but we'll see. I should have attacked really. Right, so Mandarin's got 2 cards. Let's see how he can do. He's going to use Demonic Lure. He's going to take my Sentinel and he's going to throw it onto some spikes. And that's going to die this turn. That's really going to die this turn. I don't know why I didn't attack with it in the last turn. Probably just taking it easy because I'm playing a friend, so I didn't want to go in too hard. Give him an opportunity to get something started. MaskedMandarin didn't really get his plays going. He's kind of just been on the defense this whole time, but that will change in the next couple of videos that we do. We are going to be doing some more Abyssian versus Lyonar games, and then later on in the week I'm probably going to go on to online ranked and show some online plays of what other people can do. Okay, so right, this really should be the end of the game here. I'm going to use Necroset to attack my opponent's general. That's going to do 5 damage, and now I'm going to do Tempest to kind of wipe the field and finish him off there. Okay guys, thank you for watching this video. I hope that's been enjoyable to you. Hope it's giving you a good idea of what DUELYST is like and about. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to ask me down in the comments down below. And hopefully you are enjoying this series so far, and you will be looking forward to seeing more videos regarding DUELYST. It's a whole lot of fun. I really enjoy this game, and I just hope to get more people into it, because I think it's just going under the radar. No one's really paying attention to this because there's so many other games right now. Anywho, thank you guys for watching again, and I'll see you soon. Take care.